Hurricane Skeeter.
Hurricane Skeeter, man. Yeah.
Well, that part going that way, that's staying. Yeah, change that. Sure thing. What's your idea?
And if I can get the copy of the film, man, to use as resume.
Sure.
That there. It's up against that tree. That weed tree. Oh man, Mike, you should have been here when the place fell, dude.
The whole thing? That's in good shape, that fireplace, huh? Is there anything wrong with it?
Well, we're gonna look at it. You may leave. You may leave.
all the goodies we found in the hole. It's got some room. I mean, it's piles.
Annular rings on a 6x6 timber, probably recycled. This probably wasn't the first place this timber lied. As you can tell, did you take a shot down here? Mark, you got these mortises in here. That mortise could have been for the porch, could have been for the porch rafters, or it could have been recycled. I don't think so. I think the porch rafters were sitting up here. So this could have been turned the other way at one point on this axis for studs from another house. The tenants to have locked in those mortises. It's interesting, you know, a lot of this is all recycled stuff. As old as this house is, you know, it could have been like...
Even back then.
Yeah. It just, you know, hey, somebody's throwing out this shit, let's use it to build our house.
Yeah, so that...
The sawn and stuff, you don't really see it, it's sawn here. But the house is dated between 1853 and 1872, which is the map, the tax map, or fire insurance maps. They didn't have anything in 1852 on record, but in 1872 they had something here. Take a look at the wall board. It's really interesting. It's continuous length. These wall boards, it's as if they built, before they even built this landing, they carried these boards all the way up through this floor, all the way up to the second story ceiling joists. You can get a pretty good shot if you're careful on these steps. They're rough. But I think this is a good indication of how cheap lumber was back then versus how expensive lumber is today. Brick was expensive compared to lumber. Now, before it's finished, if you wanted an intermediate, hey Shelly, I've got the film crew over here today. You can come and take a look at my place if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, it's not really relevant to this, except it's more or less the same exact house. You remember your apartment when it was in this?
Wow.
Your apartment was never this bad.
Really?
Wild. That's staying. That stuff is absolutely fantastic.
Floor
So we're going to keep that wall.
to ceiling.
But this wall, I'm sorry, this is going to stay open. So you'll have an open staircase, and you can admire that. In the plan that I have, we're going to blow this wall, head this wall out, and make a bay window, like kitchen nook, dining area. Cabinets will be here, cabinets will be there, and we'll have that as a focal point in this room. That window will be there as well. Reconfigure that window. Are like the windows and doors. So if I can keep those openings and keep the exterior moldings, the brick molds as they're called, the exterior casings for the windows, rework some of those sashes, epoxy those sills with West System epoxy and filler. You know, I might be able to have something to save that's historic. The cornice up top as well, the continuous cornice work and crown. Skeeter and I have spoken about making sure that stays intact and making the roof line referenced off that, which is going to pose a big challenge because it's going to be almost, well, it'll be difficult to get that plumb and centered. It's in Chelly Rucker, and this is a two-bedroom apartment, which Jason is an artist, he's a painter, and he has a studio upstairs. And we're going to try to keep this and the other house, do the same thing where we'll use old sashes with old glass. It's hard to see some of it. If you can close up on some of the glass, you can see how the imperfections of the glass, the waviness. I have one over in the kitchen that's really good. And we'll just have the distressed heart pine trim. Just scrape the paint off and leave it natural. There's a fireplace.
Yes.
You rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is one of the original mantles in the house. This house had two fireplaces or two chimneys, but they were too far dilapidated to salvage. They were had fissures and were falling over. These doors and the mantle we just left distressed because you pay top dollar for that now. It's like faded blue jeans. And this over here, beadboard, came from the porch ceilings, which we weren't really able to salvage the entire porch as a whole because of so much rot and framing, but we were able to save the beadboard and again leave it painted, distressed. We just cleaned it up a little with a wire brush. This house had a partition wall here with the doorway there, and what we did was duplicate a handrail. That was an existing handrail on the inside, and I duplicated this handrail from an old roof rafter and then duplicated this newel post. I had a really good craftsman down the street, Chris Maloney, duplicate this for me, and I did this handrail. And it was a square rafter, but it was heart pine, and it was really lent itself to the task. And this staircase here was what you're standing on. The floor didn't exist; it was completely gone. So we were able to suspend the staircase, which I've documented just in still photos, while we redid the entire floor structure with 2x12 treated joists. And then this is modern yellow pine flooring that we laid on top of the subfloor in a more modern construction method. And but we try to keep some elements that made it look gold. The kitchens, originally the house didn't have a kitchen. It had a very rudimentary addition, which is now in the apartment next door where I live. But the kitchen is pretty much production maple cabinets and Formica with some heart pine edge trim and on the island. This isn't the window that's really cool. Let me show you a pane that's really
There we go.
These were original sashes to the house. And original glass. And these were probably, we were talking about recovered materials. These 9/9, because of 9 panes, so they're called 9/9, were not original to the period this house was built. So it's further evidence that it was built by pretty poor people after the Civil War who were recycling materials that they could find that were thrown out, scraps. And I've continued in that tradition. The bathroom is at a 2.5 stories, a dormer, shed dormer through the roof, which is unique. It's not unique, but it's rare because many of the bathrooms in Charleston were retrofitted after the outhouses. They were retrofitted to the porch instead of, as in this manner, you see it's in a 7.5 story. This is all new. There's nothing old about this porch. This is a modern waterproofing product from Charleston, South Carolina called Hydrostop. And it's just a fabric with a very rubbery isometric paint versus the old boards, which were rotting. And everything else is pretty modern. It's got a plywood ceiling. I use that beadboard downstairs for interior trim details. That could always be retrofitted too if you wanted to put some on. These handrails are the same thing. They're roof rafters that we shaped with hand tools. And the stairs I built as a construction staircase, but then with the intent of just finishing it, which of course I haven't finished yet. But it's just framing material from the framing package. I just took the nicest 2x12s, which, you know, they're still just 2x12s, but some of them are clear, and you can even see right here, it even has the stamp from the 2x12. It says, you know, whatever, number 2, kiln dried. But it employs, you know, pretty traditional techniques of letting in the treads and some joinery. Nothing fancy, but it's strong. And as I say again, this was a staircase during the whole construction. Instead of building a construction staircase and then trimming it out, I just opted for, well, you know, it is what it is. There's no trim on top of it. It's just Kelly made a wainscoting under the kitchen peninsula with that old porch ceiling. And what other elements do we have in here that are old? This door, which is just hides a utility closet, the hot water heater and all that jazz. We left painted because we love this old lead paint. It's so tasty. And we put it up there. That shit was so hazardous. That dragon outside.
Courtesy of Nick the Torch.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like the layout next door will consist of 2 bedrooms, and the stairs will come up to a landing here, and there'll be a bedroom door here, stairs, bedroom door here, hallway, bedroom door there, and then 2 bathrooms mirror image. Or as it was the bathroom door, and I had these panels made by Bob Hines, who's a renowned leaded glass and stained glass artisan here in town. But, you know, original stuff makes it kind of cool. Leads open to a porch, a small porch, and the bathroom divides, essentially gives you privacy. It's like a box that divides this porch from the neighbor's porch. So it's a nice duplex in terms of privacy. You don't feel like you're living on top of somebody. We be stripped down. I can get some more light in here.
No, I'm cool.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. But this is heart pine that we stripped down. Again, Bob Hines did the leaded glass, and hopefully we'll have some more elements like that to touch up the place. And then the more of the ubiquitous beadboard in here, which we made this vanity out of. Has a little door. You know.
Through with the remaining cuts. Mike Schuster, NPR News, Los Angeles.
Russia has been robbed. That's